Okay, now Mrs. Moody
Who's that for?
knows how to do this. Yay me. Okay. All right.
And your stuff's up there, and then the stuff from Liz that she just gave me, that she said it's for grammar. So
That was nice. Okay.
it's very similar to the sheet that you gave me earlier, just different
Well,
stuff.
thank you. And thank you. And I'll tell Ainsley about what the code is because thank you for making these copies
You're
too.
welcome.
This
There's
time.
the class set, and then
The extra. I appreciate that.
yeah. I know I hit 20 this morning for the vocabulary. Why is there pencil on the floor?
Well, I know you probably did too. Yes, dear. Thank you. That's great.
That didn't do.
Good story.
That is 9.
That's it. Now, who is listening? Who is listening? Bless you, bless you. Thank you, boys and girls, for your patience. Ready? Put on your glasses. What I would like, thank you. Thank you. What I would like for you to do one more time is let's let Malachi, the leader, read the words in our word box. Malachi?
Book that ground hot snow word.
Now, you know that compound words are two words put together to make a longer word. Alright? Unlike a contraction, which is when you have two words, you put them together, but you karate chop a letter or letters out to make it a shorter word. Well, I see Miss Moody loves you so much, but I want you to stop messing around in that chair and play without pencil. Okay, sweetheart? Will you help me? Give yourself a pat on the back. That's so nice. All right, now, boys and girls, this first one you might not know since you live in the South, but my son that lives in Pennsylvania, and with his wife Tara, and my grandchildren Tristan, Hayden, and Nyla, they have snow often. And their last snow they had 2 feet of snow, 24 inches. And where they live in Pennsylvania, the rule, the law is you have to keep your sidewalk clear of snow. It's your job because people can't walk on your sidewalk if your snow is 2 feet high. And they will come around and fine you. They'll give you a ticket. You have to pay money if you do not have all the snow off the sidewalk so people can walk and the mailman can get to the mailbox. And Will has a snow blower that's just like a leaf blower, but it blows snow. But there is another machine that you can get that's really heavy duty. A snow plow. And I just didn't know if you would be familiar with that word since we're not gonna get any snow this year, are we? No, and we didn't get anything to speak of last year. Don't talk out. You must raise your hand. Okay, friends, look at this. Pick one of these words to make snow plow. And which word are you going to pick, Mary? Snow, of course. So you write snow on the blank and then mark it out of your word box so you don't even have to look at it again. Do these 6 words now. Make your compound words, darling. What you need to do is write snow and then mark it out. Boys and girls, Miss Minnie doesn't have any written invitations to send to you to ask you you and tell you you're invited to do your work. Your job, as soon as Miss Moody tells you to do something, or Miss Patrick or Miss Greer, you're ready to roll. Mark it out and do the rest of these. Miss Moody is just going to give you a couple of minutes to do this. Okay, you need to hurry up. Cross what? Boys and girls, what is a great puzzle to do? I love them. Right?
Cross the
No. Crossword. Crossword puzzles are so much fun. Yes, Maya? Yes, you don't ever have to ask me if you can take anything off. We want you comfortable. But when you take it off, you immediately stand up and what? Go hang it up. Don't you leave it at your chair. Boys and girls, this meeting never wants you uncomfortable. If you are hot, you take your jacket off, but you go hang it up, okay? Because when you put it on the back of your chair, that's when it trips your booty. Yes, dear. Yes. All right. Take word number 2. What did you get right for that?
pot,
Say the whole word.
flower,
Good job. Taylor, what about number 3? Number 4. Carson, classroom. Wasim, what'd you get for number 5? Play what? Playground. And Layla, what did you get, Sweetie Petey, for number 6? Notebook. Now, boys and girls, the rest of the sentences want you to use one of those new compound words you made and write a whole new compound word at the bottom. Read number 7 for us, Hollis.
they painted the seed in a flower.
And a flower pot. So you write the compound word flower pot. Maya, read number 8. Well, you gotta write flower pot. Read number 8. Right. Complete blank puzzles. And so it will be crossword. Now go to number 9, please, Walker.
I will spelling words in my
Good. Notebook, compound word. Sterling, try number 10.
The
Blank.
blank in the pot had a new swing set.
What in the park has a new swing set?
Playground.
A playground. All right. Well, see, you already did one, so don't raise your hand. Brock?
The chairs in the classroom are for the students.
Right. The chairs and the desk in the classroom are for the students. Right, classroom. Please don't raise your hand to do the next one if you haven't even written the word in yet, okay? Now, let's go to Luke. What's the last one?
The snow plow cleared the street of snow and ice.
Right. The snow plow cleared the street of snow and ice. Very good, very good. All right, now boys and girls, take these 2 papers. Make sure you have your name on both of them, and just stick them. You don't need them stapled. Just stick them in your homework folder. Say yes, sweet Miss Moody.
Yes, sweet Miss Moody.
Well, isn't that
Special.
special? Now, as soon as you have your homework in your folder, go ahead and get out your reading book. I am so excited about today's story, boys and girls. You're just going to love it, love it, love it. Uh-oh. We don't talk about it when we're changing from phonics to reading. We don't talk out. Let me see. Tell us why. Bryce, why can't we just talk out whenever we want? stories are great. And what we're going to do today is read a story that is mostly about a young boy named James Fortin. And James Fortin and his friend Daniel are living in the time during the early years of our country. And this time is when the Revolutionary War takes place. And somebody is trying to yell out dates to me. Can anybody raise their hand and tell Miss Nitty why that might not be a great idea, Sterling? They're interrupting me. They're jumping on, with their words, they're jumping on my word, trampoline, boing, boing, boing. And I can't remember what I'm saying or even think about it. So please don't do that. I care about what you have to say, and I want to hear it. I don't want to miss it. First, though, let me teach you what I know to teach you. And then you are welcome to raise your hand and add some information or ask some questions. Some of your questions we might have to write down, and Miss Moody calls that the question board. And we'll get to those later. Some of them Miss Moody is going to have to look up, and we're going to have to check them out. But we'll do that, okay? Thank you. Now, let me get back to what I need to say. Because, how many ears did God give you? Sterling, we're talking about how many ears God gave us. And one little child's yelling out, 1. So let's pay attention. How many ears? 2. How many mouths? 1. What are we supposed to do the most? Listen. Right. The only time you learn anything is when you're listening. And I know that y'all are great listeners because you're so smart. That you couldn't have learned everything you know unless you knew how to listen. All right. So, this takes place, Miss Moody was trying to say, during the early years of our country, during the Revolutionary War. The war lasted from 1775 to 1783. This war was fought between England or Great Britain, the British or the English, they call them. They were fighting colonists because the King of England, he wanted to tell the colonists in this new world exactly how they would behave, because he was going to be and was their king. Well, the colonists said, buddy, we're not listening to you. We don't agree with what you say. We want to be our own new country. And so they had a big fight about it because the King of England did not want to lose all these people. So first thing I want us to do is go ahead and get started. What does our title tell you, Chandler? Read it for us. Right. So the title alone tells you that James Fortin is what, Chandler? A hero and a true friend. Those are two wonderful things. Who can raise their hand and tell us what a hero is? Okay, Mary, I think I saw your friend. Your hands first.
A hero is someone who can somehow protect people and save them from stuff, and they make sure that no one gets hurt.
Well, that's excellent. A hero is someone who puts themselves in danger, in not a good place, just to save or help someone else. And usually he or she actually saves the other person's life. So that's a wonderful thing. On the news, I don't know the state, I didn't hear that, but it was up north somewhere where they're still having snow. And a UPS driver was driving his truck and he looked up and it was snow everywhere.
Book wasn't open, he wasn't paying any attention to what y'all were doing.
Well, right now I'm just telling a story. Thank you, Miss Patrick. So the UPS driver was driving his UPS truck in a snowy place, and he looked ahead of him, and he saw a lady in a car, and all of a sudden the car went over the side of the road down a steep hill and landed in the river, the icy river. Well, he stopped his UPS truck and he jerked himself up out of there and he ran down that steep hill through that snow. He jumped in that icy water and he got that lady out of that car and pulled her to safety up the steep hill and called 911 and they came and they saved her life. Let's give a clap for that true life. Yes! Oh, speaking of heroes, boys and girls,
Oh, I don't know about that.
Mr. Robbie. Everybody give Mr. Robbie a loud clap. And his right-hand man and mine too, Coach Ron. 2 thumbs up. Boy, what a nice treat. Now, boys and girls, so that story's true. I saw that on the news this morning, and that UPS driver was truly a hero. Because do you think if he thought about it, he would think, oh, I don't want to jump in that icy water. And a lot of other people, they would have just driven on past and said, I'll call 911, but I won't jump in to save her. And the poor lady, if they had waited, ugh, she might have been frozen by the time they got to her.
Yeah.
Almost, hypothermia. So, heroes are people that risk their own safety to help someone else, okay? That's what they do. Now, boys and girls, our title has already let us know about James. And we're going to find out about his friend, his true friend, that he was a true friend too, also, named Daniel. I would like you to read just the first 2 pages in your mind to yourself. No time.
Sound it out, sound it out.
Come to me if you have a problem. What's FMD? It's short of fodder. Boys and girls, fodder is dried hay. It's like feed. And powder monkeys might be a word. Philadelphia. Boys and girls, you know Philadelphia. What did I just say it was? Boys and girls, it's interesting to Miss Moody, Miss Patrick, to see which words they're having trouble with. You know, it's sort of surprising sometimes. And
Well,
mind-opening.
Well,
for
I've
me
been
to see.
having them sound it out
Right,
before they come to me,
right.
and then some of them still come to me, and so I tell them again, sound it out, and they know the words.
It's interesting to see which ones they have a problem with. Mary, why don't you put your coat all the way up? Yeah, because that might hurt you if you try to get up. Okay, let's see if we can, Okay. All right, I think most of you have finished the first 2 pages. They have big pictures. They're not really that have that much writing on them. And boys and girls, always remember, before you ever read a page of a story, first look at the picture, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can look at the picture and see what words you expect to see on this page, can't you? If you look at the first page, would you expect to see a word like, or in the second page, 135? Turn to 134 and 135, Mary. Okay, you are on it. You are on it, okay? Would you expect to see, you're on 134 and 135, you're on the wrong story. Yes, what page are you looking at now? 140 what? Look at the page number, sweetheart. If you're in the 145 and 140, you know you need to go back. You need to be on page 134. Looking at 134 and 135, you know you're going to see words like ships, right? Yeah, sailors, ocean maybe. You can tell what words you expect to see. Rock, would you please stop and keep that all 10 legs on the floor at all times. Thank you, darling. You helped me so much. I appreciate that. Now, James Horton, hero and true friend. And our leader, one more time. Malachi, would you please start us out? Now, we don't have a whole lot of time, so please listen. Everybody may not get a chance to read, but we'll do the best we can. If we don't today, we will tomorrow.
This is a true story. It happened in 1781. James Horton and Daniel Bruton were friends living in Philadelphia. One day they both decided to get jobs on the American Working Royal Wars. They were hired as powder monkeys. Their job was to run in and out of the fodder room to get more gunpowder for the cannons. It was dangerous work, so anyone who worked as a powder monkey had to be brave.
All right, so even to have this job, the boys had to be very brave because gunpowder was used for the cannons and to fire the cannonballs. And gunpowder was dangerous because it could explode. So you had to be brave to even want to be around it. It's a hard job to have. So the boys were brave already, weren't they?
Yeah.
Guess what? Read next for us, please, Layla. We're at the top of 135. Fingers up, follow every word.
Within months, their ship was
It's Daniel.
Daniel was taken prisoner on the British prison ship.
Daniel.
Daniel became very ill. He was very afraid, and he didn't think he would ever leave the boat alive.
Boys and girls, this is so sad. Who became ill? Daniel. And how sick was he?
Very.
So sick that he thought what was going to happen to him, Walker?
He was going to die.
Was going to die. He was so sick that he just felt like he was going to die. Yes, Walker.
On this page,
On that page, what, honey?
like who's James Thornton and who's Daniel.
James is the African American. With the dark skin. Okay? And he's going to be our hero. Read for us, please. Walker, because Layla's girl, she read last. But his friend James Thornton.
But his friend James Thornton did not worry. James had a confidence of his own.
All right, let's stop there. Daniel is very worried. He thinks he's going to die, doesn't he? Daniel is sick. But James, his friend, he's not worried at all. Because James has a plan for his own escape. What has he decided to do, Brock? He decided
To hide in a sea chest that belonged to one of the enemy sailors.
there would be
There would be barely enough room inside for one boy to fit into. James was sure that the sailor would be leaving the ship soon. The sailor would certainly carry the sea chest with him to shore. It would feel heavy, but the British would never know that there was a person inside. James could escape.
wow. So James has a plan. He says he's going to get him someone's, it's like their suitcase, but it's more of a chest or a trunk. Only large enough for how many people? One person only to fit in there. And he's getting in a suitcase or a chest of a sailor, a British sailor, that's leaving the ship. So he knows he'll be free, won't he? He's so excited. But read that last sentence for us, please, Charlotte.
But then James changed his mind. He did something even more brave.
He changes his mind. Let's find out. Let's let Charlotte read a little bit more on the next page, 136, boys and girls. And look at the picture. It's very important.
When James saw how ill his friend Daniel was, he decided to let him take his place. He slipped Daniel.
No, James slipped.
James slipped Daniel into the chest when no one was around.
All right, boys and girls, look at Daniel in that chest. It just makes me so sad. Look how sick he is. He looks like he's about ready to, you know what, doesn't he? And then there's James looking around and sneaking him in there so quietly.
He already looks dead.
No, he's not. Yes.
Are these real things?
Are they oil paintings? That's so smart of you. Let me hold your book, because I can't. I think they're watercolor, actually. Yes, they're watercolor paints. Watercolor is very transparent. That means you can see through it. It's really lightly done. But that's what that is. Let me just see. And these drawings, these illustrations are pen and ink. They're with sort of a reddish ink. And then here are, this looks like oil paint or maybe temper paint, which is also a thicker paint. It's really interesting to see, isn't it, boys and girls, the different illustrators, the medium, the materials they use to color these pictures.
Is the
Somebody's trying to talk without the hand raised. Yes.
Is the 300 spiking oil or is it water?
Bring it here real quick, but we've got to get back to our story. We've got one more page and your lunch is on its way. Now, I think that's definitely oil paint or acrylic paint works just like oil paint, except oil paint you have to have turpentine or some remover to clean your brushes, but acrylic paint you can wash your brush out with water, so that helps. Or thin paint with water. Alright, back on target. Here is Sweet James slipping Daniel, who's so ill, into the trunk. Read the next paragraph. Wasim, with the sailor.
With the sailor left the ship, the
Sound it out. That's right.
ship
British.
British let them take this chest of gold was sent because they shot.
Wasim, can you stick your tongue out and say thought? Good, there you go.
Had old clothes in it. James even helped lower the chest with them inside down inside of the ship.
Very good, very good. So James even helps the other sailors lower this trunk with Daniel inside, slowly down the side of the ship. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? All right, it's 11. I don't see your lunch yet, but we'll go ahead and finish this last page. Miss Patrick, do you see any issue with that?
Nope, I'd say work until food gets here.
Okay, here we go. Collins, read for us at the top of 137.
Collins?
I'm so sorry. I don't know why. Yes, I'm thinking about
Because you were
Miss
talking to me.
Patrick. That's so funny. Hollis. Y'all both have 2 L's.
Daniel got well and was very happy to be free, but he worried about his friend James. He was afraid James would get in trouble and be sold as a slave. He remembered what James had told him once. He had said he would never be a slave. I was born free, he always said.
All right, boys and girls. Daniel is so glad because since he's free, he could get well, couldn't he? And he feels strong and happy now about his health, but he's not happy about leaving James behind because he really feels like James is going to probably be sold as a slave And like, remember our first Americans, we read about how the Patuxent Indians were sold as slaves or either killed.
That was Squanto and first Thanksgiving.
I mean, yeah, Squanto and the first Thanksgiving. But those are the Indians that they sold. Give me your book, Brock, real quick. Boys and girls, listen to Miss Moody just a minute here. Squanto and the first Thanksgiving. That was where the Englishmen came. They had never seen corn, but they knew what to do with the Native Americans. They would sell them as slaves. So don't correct Miss Moody unless you check 5 times to make sure that you're right and Miss Moody's wrong. So sometimes I am wrong. Hopefully most of the time I'm right. Alright. Hollis read that first paragraph. And Miss Moody was telling you how sad Daniel was about leaving his friend James behind. Because he felt like that the Englishmen, James, don't do that, would sell him as a slave. And he would be miserable because Daniel remembers one time James said, I was born free, and he wanted to stay free. Now read about James. Who hasn't read? That was a girl, we'll get a boy. Chandler, James was set free. Yay!
James was set free 3 months later in New York. He walked all the way home to Philadelphia, 150 miles. When James Fortin grew up, he became an expert at making sails for ships. He also became one of the richest men in Philadelphia.
Okay, stop right there. Just think about this for a moment, boys and girls. James was set free 3 months later in New York, and he walked 115 miles. On a good day, Miss Moody could walk on her treadmill 1 mile. I have friends that I hear walk 3 miles a day.
I walked.
But somebody is blurting out without raising their hand. Brock, please don't do that. So, to walk 115 miles is a long, long walk. So you like more than that. But boys and girls, not only was he determined to walk home and get home, when he grew up, he became an expert at making those huge sails for ships. And because there were so many ships, and they needed so many sails, he became a very, very rich man. And he was smart, he was wealthy, and we know he was a kind man and a hero because he saved his friend's life. Maya Reed next verse. But he never gave up.
But he never gave up working to free slaves. He was born a free man, and he believed everyone should be free also. Today, James Gordon is remembered as a great businessman and a champion of freedom.
Right. I am so happy that we have this story. I think it tells us a lot about people that lived during the Revolutionary War times. and the good things that they did and some of the heroes during that time. Boys and girls, what am I telling you? I love you. I do, but listen to me, please. What I want you to do is just quietly, as a hamster, I want you to put your reading book up, because I want Miss Patrick to let me do it, or I won't learn it. That's what I'm always telling Miss Judy on the computer. If I don't do it myself, I won't remember how to do it. I'm coming right now, but I've just got to learn how to cut off this food. I love y'all so much. Love. Okay, Miss Patrick, if you can get up, please, and show me step by step. I'm going to write this down. Okay. Y'all sit down and let me write this down. That's so sweet, Charlotte. Miss Minnie loves you so
Why are
much.
you out of your seat?
Okay, I know you have to let me do it.
No,
I know